Have the Seattle Mariners finally found their spark? Let's talk about it. So the Seattle Mariners finally get their first series win of the 2024 season, and not only was it a series win, they got the series sweep against the Cincinnati Reds. So this was the first series where I had felt as if the Mariners were really firing on all cylinders, from pitching to hitting to defense. It was really just all clicking. The Mariners outscored the Reds 17-5 across these 3 games, and the pitching added 3 more quality starts under their belt, making it 7 in a row. We're not going to talk much about pitching in this video, but they absolutely shoved this series. They only gave up 5 runs. Yesterday, they only gave up 1 hit in total. And not only did they only give up 1 hit, but Bryce Miller only walked 1 other guy, which were the only 2 guys to get on base all game. So shout out to the bullpen for keeping that going as well. But that's kind of what we expect from the pitching. That was kind of what we expected going into this year, that the pitching was going to be a huge success for us. So hopefully they can keep that going. But the offense finally found that kind of spark that we've been looking for from them all season. Mitch Haniger had a great series. He was 5 for 12 this weekend with a home run, a double, and 5 RBIs. Julio had 5 hits this weekend. Mitch Garver finally got his first home run. Josh Rojas got his first home run. Cal Raleigh kept hitting for power. Jorge Polanco kept hitting for power. It really felt as if everyone was kind of producing and doing their thing from top to bottom. There really wasn't anyone that really struggled, if you want to call it that. They were really just producing from top to bottom. Julio finally seems as if he's getting it going. He had 2 doubles in yesterday's game. He bumped his average up to a 219 when it was a 190 to start the series. Usually once he starts to find that sweet stroke that gets the ball into the air, he usually starts to figure out his home run swing, so hopefully that's coming very, very soon. But let's talk about where we may have think this spark kind of came from. So as we know, the Seattle Mariners had a very unexpected move this week after Dom Canzone got hurt, and that was calling up Jonathan Clase. While I will admit that I was under the boat of, I don't know if this is the best move because I don't personally think he's ready, and why are we rushing his development after 47 or however many ABs it was down in AAA. I wasn't necessarily sure if this was the move for them to really start bringing up a kid this young and kind of just rushing the process again. But I think I will say, and I will admit, that Jonathan Clase did prove me wrong. He was 2 for 11, which isn't great, but he had an RBI single and an RBI double with a stolen base as well. So in what sense is 2 for 11 with 2 RBIs that spark that the Mariners were looking for? So the Mariners had already scored 5 or 6 runs, I believe, before Clase got his first hit that drove in that run. But to me, there's that presence and there's that excitement of having a young kid come up to make his MLB debut. And to be honest, Clase is one of those guys that brings that swag that I've been talking about. You can tell just from his first plate appearance at the major league level that he has that confidence and swag that sometimes the Mariners seem to lack. So there's something about a guy getting his first major league hit and driving in a run that kind of just makes the team click and go together. It's more or less kind of just one of those things that's one of those big breaths that kind of just drops your shoulders and you're much more relaxed. All of a sudden the game kind of becomes fun again, watching a young guy do something that he's been waiting his entire life to do. And like I said, I just think Clase really offers that swagger that the Mariners sometimes tend to lack across their lineup. And just having him come in and produce from the first game he was there is kind of just a sigh of relief and kind of just remembers everyone to just relax and play the game that they love. And to be honest, this was the first series where I felt like the Mariners finally had that swag and that confidence back. There really wasn't a point in the series where I had felt as if they were going to lose any of these games. And to be honest, that's from pitching to hitting to defense across the board. There really wasn't a time where that confidence was lacking. Urias had a great play yesterday. Julio's been tracking everything down. Overall, I just feel like we're playing very good baseball right now. And from that first game on, I had a really good feeling that they were going to sweep this series. Just like I said, just based on the confidence I could see that they were playing with. And, you hear comments from Mitch Haniger saying that he's doing good, but he's not even fully locked in. That's a crazy and awesome mentality to have for a guy like him, especially knowing he's still doing very well. I think he's almost hitting 300 so far this year, and he still isn't considered fully locked in. That's just a great thing to hear. And again, a great thing for Mitch Garver to finally get that first Mariner home run out of the way, as we know he's really been struggling. But that's the type of power we know that he has, and that ball wasn't even close to not going out. That ball was a moonshot. And also on top of that, we can kind of talk about their approach a little bit, because really their approach at the plate knocked Hunter Green out after 4 innings, and it knocked Montas out after 2. They got Montas up to 66 pitches after 2 innings because they generated 5 walks. Not saying that Montas had the best control, but they were being patient and not trying to do too much, knowing that he was struggling to find the zone. I will be also one to admit that I do believe that this approach is kind of working for them. They're really starting to figure it out and kind of get into that groove of taking those pitches. They are top 5 in the league in terms of pitches per plate appearances at 4. So there's no doubt that they're definitely being very patient up at the plate and waiting for their pitch. Sometimes I think they're a little too patient with some of the pitches that they get, but this is kind of the first weekend where they really just have been improving in terms of just being very patient up there and not chasing pitches that they don't want. And to kind of go along with this walk rate, their walk rate in terms of MLB average, they were ranked 18th going into this series, and after the series, they went up to 8th. That is a crazy jump in only 3 games. Their walk percentage went up by almost a full percentage. And listen, I will be the first one to admit that they still are striking out a lot. They still do have the highest K percentage in the entire MLB. So I don't really know how to feel about that, because at the end of the day, if they still are winning games, the strikeout percentage doesn't really matter. But especially if they are walking at the clip that they're walking, I don't really know how to feel about that balancing each other out. Because, if they're a top 5 walk percentage in the league, but they're also a top 5 strikeout percentage in the league, it's kind of like, okay, I don't know whether that's a bad thing, a good thing. It's never a good thing to strike out that much, but I think if they really are being that patient and as a team they have over a 10% walk rate or something crazy like that, I really don't think there's much to say about it. But overall, they do have a huge advantage going into this weekend against Colorado, especially with the hot bats and especially the way the ball carries there. They've won 5 out of the last 7 games, and hopefully they can keep that going into Colorado and hopefully get another sweep against a struggling team who's also missing one of their best players in Kris Bryant. So overall, like I said, a great 3 games. There is still a long, long way to go in this season, and hopefully they can keep this momentum going, because we do have some very tough series coming back home with Arizona and Atlanta. But please let me know how you guys are feeling down in the comment section after this series and the first series win and sweep for the Mariners in 2024. Otherwise, I hope you guys did enjoy the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.